All right. Well, we're live. Courtney, I'm so excited to have you with us tonight. So for those of you who are joining us live or through Facebook or watching the recording, I'm Jamie Kinsey. I'm one of your national marketing directors, maybe under Team Empire, either me or Brandy Foss. And we're so excited, you guys, to have Courtney joining us tonight. You guys saw our little flyer promoting her, and Courtney Epps is a fractional CFO to a dozen small to medium-sized companies, and she owns a full-service accounting firm herself. She has owned her own practice for 16 years, which is amazing. Her experience in public and cost accounting, providing clients with tax preparation, tax planning, income tax accounting, and consulting services to better run a business is what she specializes in. With years of experience, she's developed advanced technical skills in a wide variety of tax and accounting areas and has served clients from startup businesses to multi-million-dollar companies. That's a lot of money to be accounting for, a gift I do not have. So Courtney has worked with companies that span across a range of industry and sizes. She's developed a broad expertise of industries, including trucking, doctors' offices, real estate, construction, convention companies, and others, as well as home-based and network marketing businesses, which is what we are. And so many of us, Courtney, do not come to the table as business owners. And I know we've probably got some newbies who are joining us tonight. So I know they are all ears to learn how to maximize, their 2018, and it's perfect timing as those are due March 15th, right?
For corporate, yeah, it's corporate.
Okay.
April 15th for personal.
Got it. So a fun little story. We got to meet Courtney at Lauren LaHave's Las Vegas boot camp, and she kind of did this special little session that was optional, and somebody ran over to me and they said, "Oh my gosh, Courtney should have been throughout the whole event. Everybody needed to hear her. It was so amazing. It's exactly what I needed." And honestly, you guys, what she teaches you guys tonight can be a tool to grow your business. So I am going to stop talking because they're not on to hear me. They're on to hear you. So without further ado, Courtney, thank you so much for gifting us your time tonight.
Wonderful. I appreciate it. And I'm going to cut right into the chase, and I want to show you guys the presentation because, I understand accounting is people don't understand it typically, and it becomes very easy if I can show you through a presentation and kind of use my story on how I actually learned all the tax knowledge that I have, and actually how I grew my accounting practice through the network marketing industry. So I'm going to get started. Actually, I didn't believe in network marketing about 5 years ago. I, was introduced to a company, and a lady actually asked me if I would do her tax return, and I said yes, and I did that tax return, and it really opened up my eyes to understand, hey, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe this whole industry is amazing, and the fact this home-based business, it just opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I was able to save that lady $4,000 more on her taxes as a W-2 employee with just having a home-based business. And so it just kind of opened up my eyes. So I'm going to share my screen so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. And let's see. So let me switch that so you can see. I think, got it. I think I'm here. Okay, swap. Okay. I think everybody can see my screen. So, the name of my company is called Outside the Box Business Solutions. It's OTB Tax for short. And, these are this is my family. And I'm going to just give you a little bit of background about me so you know who I am. And, I know Jamie's already introduced me, but I just wrote a book called More Relaxing, Less Taxing. And I'll share that information with you in a few minutes. But I have 6 kids. And so everything I'm teaching you today, I have owned and operated my own home-based business for the last 8 years of my life. And I have been a business owner and owned my own companies for the last 18 years. And I've done everything under the sun, from owning a massive insurance agency with 3,500 clients to owning retail stores and advertising companies. And I just really hated accounting for a long time and tried to do anything but. And, what I really love to do is share and educate with people how to save money in taxes. And so through that, I've become a tax strategist. I call myself a motivational tax strategist. I think it's a new term, and I coined it, and so I'm a roll with it. But you know, I live in Greenville, South Carolina. I talk a lot, which is not typical for accountants. And like she said, like Jamie said, I'm a fractional CFO for 18 different companies, from $500,000 a year in sales all the way to 13 million. So I have clients all over the country, and people ask me every time, am I looking for clients? And yes, we're always looking for new clients, and we want to help everybody. It doesn't matter how big you are or how small you are. So my aha moment, like I just said, was I got involved in the network marketing industry about 5 years ago. I'm not actively in a company building anymore. And the reason why is because I feel like I'm so much better on the outside helping you guys actually grow your companies than I could ever be on the inside. Because when I was on the inside, and I was telling people about tax strategy, even though I'd been in the business for 16 years and been an accountant, people didn't listen to me. So I started this whole idea that I wanted to share with the network marketing industry that you have to have a home-based business. And the reason why is because the average person is overpaying $4,000 to $8,000 a year in taxes by not having a home-based business. And see, not everybody's going to be great at going out and sharing information. Not everybody's going to be the best salesperson in the world. But the thing is that everybody can share the information and guarantee themselves some massive tax deductions. And why is that important? The reason why, and I didn't understand, you know, when you offer an opportunity to an entrepreneur or a business owner, someone with a business mindset, they're going to pick up on it really quick, and they're going to say, this is a great idea. I need to get involved in this. But the average American, 46% of Americans don't have an extra $400 to their name. And so when we talk about owning a business and getting it started in a business, most people, typical Americans, believe that you have to spend a lot of money in order to make a lot of money. Well, you know, I was in that spot. I didn't have an extra $400 to my name when I got involved in my first network marketing company. My parents actually got me involved, and I ended up being a top 1% earner in that company. And so for people that, to tell you that I could have made a decision to do something different, I couldn't have. I was in a place where we were working our butts off. Me and my husband had a screen printing company. He was working about 18 hours a day. I was working 12 hours a day. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so what's so great about this industry is that if you teach people how to find the money, they can get started. And they can't say, you know, well, I don't have the money to get involved. But literally, they're not usually even telling you that they don't have the money. They're just turning you down. And you don't understand it, but it's because they have to completely shut their brain down and say, you know what, I can't do this because I don't have the money to get started. And so instead of telling you the truth as their friend, they just try to shut you down and make you feel like this is wrong because they don't have the extra money. And when I saw that, I wish I would have seen that and understood that when I was involved in network marketing, because I would just look at it and say, well, why in the world aren't these people deciding to join me? Like, this is crazy. But they didn't have the extra money. And so when you realize that, all we have to do is free it up. And I can teach you how you can literally, if you're a W-2 employee today, how you can increase your exemptions at work, and you can actually have the money within a month to start your own business. So I'm going to get right into it. So I get super excited. So what is a tax deduction? See, the IRS allows massive tax deductions, whether you make money or not, if you're just attempting to earn an income. So what they consider a tax deductible business expense is any expense that is incurred for the purpose of gaining or producing income and is incurred with a reasonable expectation of resulting in future business and is reasonable under the circumstances. To break that down for you, that means that if you're attempting to earn an income either today or in the future, then it's tax deductible, as long as it's reasonable. So, I mean, you can't go buy a yacht and say, I'm trying to write that off on my taxes, and, you know, it'd be $1 million yacht. There's no way that you're going to get away with that. But if it's reasonable, if you're going out to eat with your friends to share with them something you're doing, if you are driving in your car to share with your friend what you're doing, those are tax deductible. And the thing is that so many people believe that they have to spend money in order to make money. But what I teach clients to do is how to redirect the expenses that they're already spending money on today and turn those into business expenses. So those living expenses become business expenses if you're attempting to earn an income and you're doing what I call daily business building activities. So I want to share with you the typical W-2 employee and a W-2 employee compared to a W-2 employee with a home-based business and what that looks like for people. Because really, I think when you understand that, this industry is for everyone. Not everyone is going to go out and make $1 million a year or $10 million a year, but everybody can massively benefit from being a network marketer or being an affiliate marketer or having some sort of home-based business. So the average household income in America is $60,000 a year, and that is for a family of 4. So, and I want to show you how they're literally going in debt every single year to work 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. So we have that $60,000 worth of income. There are no business expenses, obviously, if you're a W-2 employee. And if you did not know, there's some massive tax deductions that W-2 employees lost. And one of those big deductions was unreimbursed employee business expenses. So if employees, especially salespeople, are using their own vehicles or using their own cell phone, using their own mileage, gas, all those things, and they're not getting reimbursed for those, that's gone this year. So they no longer have those deductions. As of 2018, that was taken away. So a typical W-2 employee is not going to have any business expenses, and they're going to either take a standard deduction or itemized deduction. Most everyone, 96% of Americans take a standard deduction. So single has increased and married, filing jointly has increased as well. And they took away the personal exemption. So it really did not increase. For people like me, I lost about $30,000 in deductions this year. If I were just a typical W-2 employee, but I got them all back as a business owner. So taxable income, this is where you are as far as taxable income. And here's all the taxes that you would pay. So if you're single, out of that 60, you would pay $14,000 in taxes. If you're married, out of the 60, you would pay almost $11,000 in taxes. And here's your take home. So you've got 46 or 49 roughly. And then you throw in the cost of living in America. And you can go look this up. The average cost of living in America is about $53,000 a year, and I just cut $3,000 out of that for cost of living for someone who's single. It doesn't cost much more to be single as it doesn't married. Here's the problem. You're going in debt as just a W-2 employee every single year. So if the average person out there is going in debt $4,000 a year every year, then they look at something and they say, oh man, we look at it and it may be $50 to get started, but they look at it and say, I don't have any extra money. So we have to teach them how to find that money. So here's the great part. When you add a home-based business, we're going to take your living expenses and redirect those into business expenses. So itemized deductions, if you guys did not know, itemized deductions, you are able to take those, but they have to exceed your standard deduction in order for you to get benefit. So what are itemized deductions? You've got medical bills, medical insurance, you've got property taxes, real estate taxes, mortgage interest, charitable contributions. So all of these have to add up, and there's caps on all of the taxes now at $10,000. They've got to be more than $24,000 a year. If they don't, then you take the standard deduction. Well, the thing is even if they were, let's just say all of those combined were $27,000 a year, you're only really getting an additional $3,000 a year in deductions. So, that's not a lot compared to the typical person. So we want to redirect the living expenses. So here, what are other living expenses that we have? Things like meals and auto expenses and cell phone and travel, internet, home expenses, office supplies, daycare products, personal development. All these things are living expenses, and there's many more, but these are things that we can actually redirect once we have a home-based business. So if I take the same W-2 employee and they add an additional home-based business, then medical bills can literally be turned into what's called fringe benefits. So you can hire your spouse in your company, and your spouse can pay all the medical bills, and you in turn would reimburse him, and that would be 100% tax deductible on your business. See, and why that's so important is because medical bills, you can only take a certain percentage above your AGI in medical bills. So if you had $10,000 worth of medical bills and you had $100,000 AGI, you would only be allowed to take $2,500 of those deductions this year. So you're missing out on $7,500. Whereas here you would be able to take 100%. And these are just averages, these are not, actual numbers, but these are just averages on kind of what I see and what people can take as a deduction. So medical insurance, that's roughly $350 a month. Medical insurance, that can be considered a business expense if you own a business. You've got business use of your home. So that entails a lot of things. A portion of your utility. So it's literally the square footage of your home. Let's just say it's 3,000 square feet and you had a 300 square feet office space. That would be 10%. So 10% of your utilities, your 10% of your furniture, like you can actually depreciate your furniture in your home, 10% of that. You can depreciate your home. So you can depreciate 10% of your home. You can depreciate your, you can write off a portion of your utilities, your mortgage interest or rent, whichever one you have. Your property taxes or real estate taxes, those can all be written off. Insurance, all of those can be written off, as well as repairs and maintenance. And so this is typically between $3,000 and $5,000 a year worth of deductions that you can write off. And then you've got things like property taxes. So property taxes on vehicles. We literally had an RV a couple years ago, and we used that to drive all over the country. And we had a business, and we wholesale jewelry, and we actually used that RV to drive all over the country with our kids for a whole summer. So that's tax deductible. So the property taxes and all the expenses allocated towards that. So if you're looking to buy an RV, it might be a good idea. Charitable contributions, I'll show you how you can actually write those off in just a second. If you will take a percentage of your business, or literally like if you decided, hey, for every bottle of product that I sell, I'm going to give this. So there's ways that you can actually turn charitable contributions into something called cost of goods sold, which is a huge business expense that you can write off. Meals. So if you're going to see your friends and you talk to them about what you're doing, then you can write off 50% of that. And an even bigger deal of that is if I take my spouse with me and my friend brings her spouse, then I can write off 50% of both of our meals. And going even further, if I take all 6 of my kids because my friend brings their spouse and their kids, you can also write off 50% of that, because they're literally there to help take care of the other people while you have a business meeting. So it's something to keep in mind. Now, if you have people over at your home and you actually provide food for them, then that is 100% tax deductible. So, make sure you're doing events, once a week or once every week or however often you want to do it, every night. Hey, my husband cooks every night at our home. So, it'd be great. We can have a party, invite some friends over and share with them. I would share with them tax savings and tax strategy, but you could share with them what you're doing. So that becomes a huge deduction. And then we have miles. So mileage this year, the mileage rate is increased. It's 58.5 cents per mile. There is you can decide if you want to do mileage or if you want to do actual expenses. To me, this year with the new tax laws, actual expenses is actually a much bigger deal. And I'll show you that in just a second on why. And I'll actually break down a vehicle and show you how much tax savings it can actually save you. Then you've got things like cell phone. You can write off a percentage of your cell phone. So if you're spending 75% of your time on your cell phone talking to people about your company, then literally you can write off 75%. Internet, same thing. If I'm spending 95% of my time, which I do on the internet, running my business. And as you can see, well, I don't know if you can see it, but I work from home, and I have 3 full-time employees who actually work in my home. So we're literally consuming a big space in our house. And, this is, I have my office and they have their office, and, we use our dining room table really is now a conference table. So it's kind of crazy, but, I made a commitment that I wanted to teach home-based business. And so by doing that, like, I don't want to go somewhere else. One, this is the greatest thing, to be able to be with my family all the time. Not all the time. It's not great, but it's amazing to be able to be a part of my family. And we homeschool all 6 of our kids here. So, we spend a lot of money on things, but they kind of combine, they kind of intertwine. So, I mean, the kids are using the internet, but I'm also using the internet. So just say I used it 75% of the time, I'd be able to write off that. Travel. This is what I really love, being able to take continuing education events or personal development, whatever you want to call them, and coordinate them around vacations. And you can literally write off parts of your vacation because, one, you're already going to fly to wherever you're going or drive there. So if you take your family along with you, it may not necessarily cost a lot more money. You're just taking them along with you. And you may not necessarily need an extra hotel room, but you're taking them with you. So if you work your vacations around your events, then your vacations can be partially tax deductible as well. And I love tax deductions. Like, it makes me feel so much better if I'm going on vacation and part of it's tax deductible. So hiring your kids. This is probably my favorite. I'll go into detail on this in just a second, but you can hire your kids. You can pay them, you can pay them as much as you want to pay them. But obviously they have to work for you in some capacity. And, I pay my kids $12,000 a year every single year, so they don't have to pay taxes on it, and I can get to write it off as a business expense. So I'm already paying for my kids anyway, so I might as well get some deductions. And then we've got office supplies. So this could be things like iPads, printers, iPods. It could be computers. It doesn't matter. You're already spending money on this stuff anyway, but now that you have a business, it's tax deductible. So these things are things that you would already spend money on today, whether you had a business or not. But now, because you do have a business, you get to write those off. And here's some extra things. So like advertising, you may or may not have any sort of advertising, and that's fine. But I just wanted to stick these over here because people tend to believe, well, we got to spend a lot of money, but they're not. They're spending money on continuing education. And I will tell you that through personal development and the people that I've met in the network marketing industry has grown my accounting practice 36.5 times in the last 5 years. And through personal growth and development in the last 16 months of going to events with Tony Robbins, it's literally grown my business 8 times. And I've been to 3 events. So I know what personal development can do for you. And it is the greatest tax deduction that you can ever buy for yourself, because not only is it going to enhance your life, and by being around the people that are at a higher level than you can get you to where you need to go. And it just takes you to another level. Like, it's the greatest thing. So just take my word for it. Go to every event that you possibly can with Juice Plus, and share that with your team, because when they see it, it's like a light bulb goes off for them. But some people need to personally develop more, and once you get them around that culture, they start realizing how amazing it is, and they will start growing. So I probably never would have shown up in this industry at all had someone not reached out to me and said, hey, can you help me make, they knew I needed some extra money. So they reached out to me with, hey, can you do this tax return for someone in the group? And I ended up going to an event only because I did a tax return for someone. And I said, you know what? I could go meet some more people and get more tax clients. So I never even thought about building a business. I just showed up to a continuing education event, and it changed my life. And you'll get people that do that every day, and it's just so amazing. So continuing education is great. Tax deductible dues. I don't know if there's monthly dues in what you guys are doing, but If there are yearly dues, then those are tax deductible as well. And then cost of goods sold. So if you're sampling the products, like giving people product, but also if you are marketing your product on social media, or any way that you're marketing it, if you buy the product and utilize the product, you have to use it in order to share it with people and to tell them how amazing the product is. So that becomes tax deductible as well. So that total is crazy, is $34,000. And so I want to share with you just a way. I'm not even going to use that much money as far as business deductions, and I'll show you how it all works. So if I had that same W-2 employee, now I have the W-2 employee with a home-based business. They're making $60,000 in income. I'm just going to use $25,000 in business expenses. Same standard deduction. Here's their taxable income. Here's their taxes. Here's their take home. The cost of living is the same. And then they're literally bringing home money. So the difference in the two is $5,600, or about $473 a month. If you're single, it's $4,500 a year, or $381 a month difference if you're married. But what blows my mind, and what people don't understand, is that you have to make a lot more money in order to get tax savings. So if I had $10,000 worth of tax savings, I'd need to make about $16,000 or $17,000, depending on what tax bracket I'm in order to be equivalent to the $10,000 in tax savings. So I broke it down for people so they understand. You'd literally have to make $3.79 per hour increase on your paycheck in order to get the same effect as just having a home-based business. And then as far as the time commitment in it, literally, if you just give yourself 3 to 5 days a week for 45 minutes a day, you are putting in what I call daily business building activities. You're attempting to earn income. You're attempting to share with people what you're doing. Then you'll start making even more money. And then what happens is I show you here how having that same W-2 income with a home-based business, you're going to start making money. You could be the worst at this industry. You could be the worst at sales. But the thing is that when I go and sit down with my friend and I share with them something that I'm passionate about, they can see that passion. And I share with them something I'm excited about, and it's saving me money in taxes, and I just want to share it with them. Well, guess what? When I get in my car and I drive to wherever I'm going to meet my friend, I get to write off my mileage. Or I get to write off actual miles. I get to write off my meal while I'm there. And I have a conversation with my friend and I share with them something I'm excited about. And whether they decide to join or not, that's up to them. They may not be passionate about the same thing you are, but it's just your job to share what you're doing with them. And by sharing that, if you do that enough times, I guarantee you that you will start making an additional stream of income. And, I can't make guarantees. I'm not even I'm not involved in building your company, but what I can tell you is that you're guaranteed to save money in taxes. And if you talk enough to people, the right people will come in your path. And so I showed this to you, that if you have an additional $500 a month, what that looks like as opposed to a W-2 income. So that part-time, 3 to 5 days a week, 45 minutes a day that you're using, if you just made an extra $500 a month, what that does is literally the difference is $10,500 or $878 a month. And the average American would not have lost their home in 2009 if they had an extra $500 a month in their bank account. So it's super important that we help people understand this. And, so many people just think, well, if I'm not making enough money, I'll just go get a second job. No, you can't get a second job. And the reason why is because it's going to put you in a higher tax bracket and you're going to spend more time away from your family. Why don't I teach you how to have a home-based business and you can work it around your job while you're doing your job and get the same get massive tax deductions that you would never get by having a second job. So I made a decision last year, and I have not bought it yet, but I just want to kind of tell you there's some new tax laws geared towards vehicles. And so, it may be a Lexus for you. It may be a maybe that you want a Porsche or, but I want a Tesla. And so I went out and I started brainstorming, how can I make this Tesla feasible for me to buy? And so what I realized is that the Tesla didn't have any gas, and it was 100% deductible in the first year, because if you buy a vehicle that has more than 6,000 gross vehicle weight, you can literally write off 100% of it in the first year. So, this is a $100,000 car. There's other tons of cars out there that are at least 6,000 gross vehicle weight, and you still get to depreciate it if it's not that big. But these electric cars are just heavier cars. So there's a $7,500 electric car credit last year that I was entitled to take by buying this car, and then it drives itself. So I'm like, and now I want the Model X. So I don't know if I want the BMW Model X or the Tesla, but I'm making a decision. But it drives itself, but it also allowed me to get lower my my taxable income to the point where I would literally get an extra $16,000 in credits back, which is crazy. So, and then on top of that, it would save me about $30,000 in taxes. So this is not the way typical people think. That you buy a car and that's going to save you $49,000 total between credits and taxes to buy this car. What people typically think is, I'm spending all this money, I can't spend that or whatever. But when you use business for business expenses, when you start learning how the tax strategy works, like you could literally take anything that you're doing, if you wrap it around your business, it becomes tax deductible. So I'm not telling you to go out and get in debt, but I'm telling you to be smart about what you're buying and what you're doing, and think about everything that you're doing as, how can I make this a business expense? And so that's how, I decided that the Tesla was definitely right for me. So hiring your kids. This is probably the greatest thing I'm going to tell you guys is that, and I did not know this until about 4 years ago, through some research, I did not realize that you could hire your kids. And the reason why is because we're not taught in college how to save people money in taxes. We're not taught tax strategy. So what I realized is that, kids are really expensive. I have 6 of them. They have sporting events and they have dance in college, and they want phones and they want video games and they want all these things. And so I've decided we hire them and they pay for their stuff. So instead of us going out to eat and me paying for the meal, we go out to eat and they pay for their own meal, because I have children who do modeling for me. My 6-year-old does modeling. I post her on Facebook all the time so she can get paid for modeling fee. I have children who do chores around the house. So they clean up the house, and because we have a home-based business, I can pay them, and that is a business expense. I have children who do data entry for me. My oldest daughter's in her 3rd semester of college. She's 16, probably one of the greatest employees I have. And so she can actually do modeling she can do data entry for me. And then I have children who file paperwork. So, filing and filing folders. So you could have your kids go with you to events and help you with an event, help you set up, help you put out food, help you talk to people. Literally, I've had children do presentations. So, you can pay them $12,000 a year and they don't have to pay taxes on it at all. So the first $12,000, if they're under the age of 18, not only do you not have to pay FICA taxes on them, which is 7.65%, and they don't have to pay it, and you don't have to pay it as a business owner. So typically, when you have an employee, they would pay FICA taxes, and you would match the FICA taxes. But if they're under the age of 18, then they don't have to pay it, so you don't have to pay it. They also, because they're your family members, you don't have to file unemployment. They don't have to pay unemployment taxes, or you don't have to pay unemployment taxes on them, which is huge. And then you just need to pay them a reasonable wage. So if I were to pay someone $10 an hour to clean my house, or $15 an hour to clean my house, it's reasonable that I'd pay my child $12 an hour to clean my house. So, you can't just pay them just to be paying them and never have them do anything, but this is a massive tax deduction. So that $12,000 a year, you could pay them more, but they don't pay taxes on the first 12. Now, after that, they would obviously be in a much lower tax bracket than you, and we call that income shifting. So it's literally shifting the income over to someone who's paying who's in a lower tax bracket. So, if you need help with this, I'll be glad to help you and help you understand that more. And then I get really excited about giving. So, I decided April 15th of last year, I fell in love with the fact of giving. I love to give back to people. I love to help people. And I know if you help enough people get exactly what they want, you'll automatically get what you want. And so if you combine your passion and your profits, like with Lauren gives blessing bags. And I love that. So she has a product, she has these I am cards. They're amazing. They've changed my life every day. I utilize those. And she feeds the homeless with those. And so I decided to feed children with that. And so what I do is every dollar that comes in my accounting practice, I feed a serving of food to children in need, and through a nonprofit. And then, so by doing that, I'm actually allowed to create that as a business expense, which is a cost of goods sold item, because I'm giving from my gross income and not from my net income. So you could do it with a product. If for every product that you sell, you're giving so much, or, you're doing something for people, then you can actually center that. That's called social giving. And it's the greatest thing, because we started utilizing that. And then our book, the book that I wrote, for every book that I sell, I feed 28 servings of food to children in need. So it just feels amazing. And we're now up to 330,000 servings since we started that April 15th. But this is not only a good way to give back, but it's also a really good way to have another tax deduction. So if you have nonprofits that you want to give to, talk to me and I'll help you work through the process on how you can start giving and it become a business deduction for you. Now, what happens when you make more money? So when you start making money, there's some things that you definitely need to do in order to ensure that you keep more of your money. And the first step is you want to register as an LLC. And so you don't have to necessarily go out tomorrow and get an LLC or today, but I would suggest it because it limits your liability and it gives you a couple different options. You can decide to either be a sole proprietorship as far as taxes go, or you can decide to allow your business to be treated as an S corporation for tax purposes. And what that means is that you can bypass some self-employment taxes, a large majority of self-employment taxes, which is one of the biggest tax deductions that you could possibly have with a business. And so here's an example. If I had $60,000 worth of net income from my business and I paid typically that you would pay FICA taxes on yourself and then your business pays FICA taxes. So that's 15.3% in self-employment taxes. And people say a lot of times that just aren't educated and don't understand is that business owners pay a lot more in taxes. Well, no, they don't. And they have ways to bypass those. So this 15.3% in self-employment taxes, you can bypass about 80% of that by just having an LLC and treating that as an S corporation for tax purposes. And then on top of that, this year, there's this new 20% pass-through entity rule and deduction that everyone on this call, if you're in Juice Plus, if you're in real estate, whatever, that as long as it's not a massive service business, like I don't get the deduction because I'm an accountant. Lawyers don't get the deduction. Medical doctors don't get the deduction, but you guys would get that extra 20% pass-through entity deduction. What that means is that same $60,000 in income that you have from your business, you actually don't have to pay taxes on 20% of it, so $12,000. So that's an additional, $5,000 in tax savings that you get by being a business owner. So in summary, there's never been a better time, guys, to have and start your own home-based business. So, especially with these new tax laws, because business owners are going to continue to get more deductions, W-2 employees are going to continue to lose those deductions. And people just don't understand why we get more tax deductions. I have people tell me all the time, there's loopholes and there's, aggressive and non-aggressive. No, there's tax code. But the thing is, I want you to understand is that 76% of employees are created through small to medium-sized businesses in America. And we are given massive tax deductions. We actually have there's a second system, and those tax deductions are allotted for business owners so that we can create more jobs. See, if we had to pay the same taxes as employees did, we wouldn't have the money to pay for more jobs to be created in America. And so what they do is they give the tax deductions to the business owners, they create the jobs, and the employees are created to pay taxes. And you can believe it or not believe it, but that's the way the system works. So, take the deductions that you're entitled to. If you have people or accountants that tell you you can't write off certain things or you shouldn't write off that much, take your actual expenses. If you went to, $30,000 worth of continuing education and you still didn't make a lot of money, that's okay because you're growing your business. So literally, if Ford Motor Company today, if for the first 5 years, they lost $500,000, it's legitimate. I mean, and I'm sure they bring on vehicles and, a new line of service, and they're losing money off of that. They get that benefit of taking those tax deductions that they're allowed to take, and you're allowed to take them as well. Walmart pays 0.12% in taxes, and the average American pays 40%. The only difference is lack of education. So if you don't know what you don't know, and it's costing you a lot of money. Hire your spouse and your kids for additional tax savings. And I don't suggest you doing your own taxes. And the reason why is because the IRS knows that you are doing your taxes through TurboTax or through some other tax software. And it could trigger an audit because they know that you are more likely to make mistakes. If you're a W-2 employee alone, it's okay. There's not a whole lot that we can save you. But, I've had people say, well, you can't do any better for me than TurboTax. And, $20,900 later that he did not have to pay in TurboTax, that I ended up getting him a refund back. He realized that was a different story. So, you're only as good, the tax return and the tax deductions that you get are only as good as what you know that you can take as a tax deduction. And so there's a lot of different deductions that you can take that people just don't realize. So that 20% pass-through entity deduction, I've already talked about that for you. And here's my book. So I'll tell you what's in the book. The book will teach you why you need a business. And it'll teach you why, if you already have a business, a traditional business, why you need a home-based business. Because there are things like commuting miles and business use of your home that you cannot write off if you're not a home-based business owner. So every book feeds a child for 28 days through a nonprofit. So, I love that part. But, it literally just teaches you how, one, the new tax laws, it talks about that and how they affect you. It talks about how to give through and make that a business expense. It talks about everything I've talked about here, but it goes into more detail. And this book was really created for people to help other people understand that they needed some sort of home-based business in order to change their life. So you can get that copy. It's actually $12.99 at my website, morerelaxinglesstaxing.com. There's also a YouTube channel. I have worked really hard to create content for network marketers to actually help them grow their organization. So I've got a couple of videos there that you can check out, and you can send to people and share with them information just from a tax standpoint, how the savings work. And then there's also a Facebook group. So it's called More Relaxing, Less Taxing Monthly. And I go in there live, I do lives, I do tax tips. So you're welcome to invite anybody you want to that. There's no pressure. You can do it if you want to, but all of those are free and allow you to just help you grow your business. So, I'm here for anyone that wants to understand more tax advice. Obviously, I don't make any money off of sharing this today. And, my goal is to get more tax clients and teach more people and to sell more books. So if I can help you in any way, we're going to grow together. So I'm just super excited, and I appreciate you, Jamie, so much for allowing me to come on the call.
Well, we are so, can you see me? I'm back. Okay. We are so excited that you were on. I took pages of notes, and I'm sure many people have. And this is probably one of those recordings they're going to watch back and probably share with spouses, because I know for me, like, I need my spouse to understand this stuff as much as me. But yeah, Karen's saying she took a ton of notes as well. Are you open if we have any questions real quick? I don't want to keep you too long.
Yeah,
If you guys want to type in the chat or through our Facebook Live, if you have a quick question, we can take just a couple of them. And I definitely encourage you guys to go to her YouTube channel and check out a couple of those videos, because I do think that they are really great resources to send, especially somebody taking a look at locking arms with you, just kind of maybe seal the deal.
Yes.
So everybody's like loving on you. Amber, how to pay your kids. You do not have to be an LLC or any of that to pay your kids technically, do you, Court?
You do not. So but you do have to set up a payroll. So you have to actually pay them. It could be through a payroll service. I mean, you could do it by hand, but that's a little tough. But I could walk you through my whole goal is to try to help everyone be able to do this stuff on their own if that's what they want to do. But some things like payroll become a little tough. But, there's some payroll services out there, they're $50 a month. I'm actually partnering with a company to offer a tax software called Deductor that will actually help everyone. So I will post that in the More Relaxing, Less Taxing monthly in the next couple days. That'll just allow you to kind of track your mileage, and it'll allow you to track expenses, take pictures of your receipts and things like that, and it'll upload it. And so I've had clients that have been using that software for about 5 years. But the payroll piece is a little tricky. So you typically need to have a company do that, and we charge like $50 a month. So we want to talk before you make a decision to start paying your kids. I mean, you need to have some sort of substantial income in order to do that.
So for me, we have been paying our kids for, I don't know, 4 years or something. And so my accountant actually takes care of that piece, right, for us. So really, you guys, it may sound super complicated, but reach out to Courtney. I know you do taxes in different states, don't you? Don't you help people all over?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got clients in 35 states, from here to Hawaii and Alaska. And I actually have clients in Canada. So, those are about as vast of the laws that I know today. Not saying I won't learn them, but a lot of things as far as expenses are virtually the same everywhere. So, but yes, as far as contacting me, and I want to give you guys, this is something that I've set up for you to be able to send people to, so that you can get deductions. And it's this bit.ly. It's a free tax webinar. So it gives them a 20-minute webinar that they actually have access to. And it also gives them 78 tax deductions that they can write off. So it's like a worksheet. So you can see all the things that you can write off. So it's just easier for me to send it that way. But if you'll go there, that bit.ly/free tax webinar. And then also to get in contact with me, let me put that on the screen as well. Maybe that would help. This is the best way to get me, is to book a time on my schedule, and it's otbtax.ukbook.me is the best way. You can also contact our office, and I guess I could give you that phone number. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to keep typing it here.
You're good. Because if you guys don't have, right, somebody who understands network marketing in your area, the accountant, you guys can definitely get a hold of Courtney. I actually talked to somebody today who, actually the girl who does my nails, and she was saying her tax person is so flighty, like up and moved and didn't even tell them. I mean, just some crazy stuff. So you want to have a good accountant taking care of you.
Yes. And I would tell you, most people most accountants don't understand network marketing. I've literally had people send me letters from their prior accountant saying that they're going to jail. I mean, like that they can't write these things off, and they're just uneducated. So, don't get upset with them. They just don't know. And most accountants literally sit in a cubicle, 4 out of 12 months a year. So they're not used to marketing. They're not used to having personal development. They're not used to the things that you're spending money on. So it's not that's not true. Go read a book and find out on your own. I literally, read Lower Your Taxes Big Time by Sandy Botkin. And that book told me more about taxes and tax strategy than any book I ever read in college. So crazy.
Awesome. Somebody asked if the guidelines on how to hire your spouse are in the book.
Yes. So, the only reason you'd want to hire your spouse is typically if you have a lot of medical bills and you're hiring for fringe benefits. So there's a whole chapter limited to fringe benefits and how to take money out of your business tax-free through fringe benefits, which is how big business, they end up taking money out of their business. So I didn't learn a lot of these fringe benefits until I read the book, Lower Your Taxes Big Time. And I just kind of condensed those down and took the tax code. So one fringe benefit I will tell you that's the greatest thing on the face of the planet is that I wrote off our swimming pool is actually a fringe benefit because we have employees who work from our home, and we put in a pool last year, and I knew a portion of it was tax deductible through repairs and maintenance for business use of your home, but it's literally, you can provide a swimming pool, a golf course, a exercise facility, or a tennis court for your employees as long as it's on site, and it's 100% tax deduction. It's fringe benefit. They don't have to pay taxes on it. You don't have to pay taxes on it. That was like the most amazing thing on the planet.
Well, one of our sweet team members is an accountant, and she says she's getting through her 6th busy season, and this was still so helpful for her. So
awesome. I love it. I need more people to educate people on the benefits of having a home-based business. So I want to share this with more and more people. This industry is so amazing. Like, I don't build it anymore. I stopped building about 18 months ago, but I love being around all the leaders, and it's just so amazing to see how people are just willing to just help you. And you don't get that in other businesses. I don't have other accountants going out and saying, hey, you need to go see this person. She's amazing. But network marketers are just a different breed of people. Like, they're just amazing, and they just help people grow. And literally, when I say my business has grown, it has grown 36.5 times in 5 years. Wow. Like, I lost everything I owned 8 years ago. And I was in a really, really bad place. And if it wasn't for network marketing and the personal development and the people that I was able to surround myself with, I don't know where I'd be today.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that I can put any bigger of a bow on the opportunity for network marketing and for your services. So with that, I just want to again say thank you so much on behalf of, and I forgot to mention them at the beginning, so of all of our national marketing directors, so Karen Richards, Megan Martin, Jamie Mercer, Brandy Foss, and myself. We're just so thankful that you blessed our team, and we're sure that this video is going to go far and wide. So thank you, Court.
You are welcome. Y'all have a great day. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on here.
Anytime. Good night. Bye, guys.